Hello, I'm Andy Jones here at the Plaid Let's Paint Live studio, and I want to welcome you to our Winter Blossoms class. So it's a pretty little painting. It is a 9 by 12 canvas that we've painted black, and we will start by doing the most difficult part of today's lesson. We're going to sketch on our design. So I'm going to look at my canvas and show you how to sketch on your canvas. So the first thing I'm going to do is start down here at the bottom of the canvas, and I want to create a kind of cone-shaped flower. So it's going to look something like that. All right, so we've got our flower at the bottom, and let's just do a little finger measurement. So one finger each direction forms the bottom width of our flower. Okay, so give you a little moment to put that flower on there. And I know it's early in the year to start doing all of this sketching, but we're going to get through tonight's class. And I'm joined in studio by Caitlin Smith. Hi, Caitlin.
Hello, hello.
So Caitlin let me know earlier this evening that she thought this was going to be a quick painting, that everything just looked like some quick little strokes and we should get through it in no time. So I have that added pressure that Caitlin thinks we're going to whip right through this. But we're going to get through it without any trouble. So let's add in our two kind of purple spiky flower shapes. So I'm just going to draw in a couple of purple kind of spiky shapes, and we're going to mess with this. So this is not the be all and end all, and so they come up, they are little flowery shapes just like that. We're going to do most of this painting with our brush and not really rely on this little chalk sketch. Now, we have these little spiky leaf forms on here. So we've got 3 of them up here in the back. And so let's just start and give ourselves a little stem. And we'll do another little stem on here. And we'll do one more on there. All right, so we've got 3 little spiky stems, and they're not all the same height. Now, I don't know what kind of flowers these are. Are they eucalyptus leaves? Maybe. Are they money plant? Maybe. Are they a cross between the two? I don't know. But what we're going to do is draw some oval shapes. So we've got an oval shape at the top, and then you can do like a little infinity symbol. That's going to give us those 2 little leaves. And then we can just draw a little line across and maybe another line. You see how none of these are the same shape. There's a little bit of variation, a little bit of difference. And we can do another infinity symbol. We can make this one bigger. And you see I didn't draw it quite the same on both sides. We can do one that's got 2 little leaves over there and one over here. And we could do another little cross piece like that. We just want to make sure that we have a variety of sizes and shapes of these little leaf forms. Okay? So I'm going to stop on that one, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do another little set of leaf shapes. Let's give an oval at the top. And then let's do another infinity symbol so that we've got something that is not quite the same size and shape. We can do another little infinity symbol, a little bit different. I don't want you to just draw the same thing over and over. So we've got one that's just going to have 1 leaf on one side, and we'll do another little cross piece. Let's do another little infinity symbol. And maybe another little cross piece. And we can do an infinity symbol that sweeps down and up. So So you could see we're just throwing on some guidelines here. Now, as a good friend of mine once said, don't let your guidelines be your girdle. We're just putting this stuff on here so that we have a starting point and we can stick with it, or we can abandon this just as quickly as we need to. So I'm just drawing some more little leaf shapes, maybe another cross piece there, another little infinity symbol, and we'll do a bigger leaf form there. And we'll drop down below our other ones and do another infinity symbol there, and another cross piece. So you could see we've just got a bunch of leaves drawn on there, and I may stick right with this, or I may just change everything. Don't know yet because we haven't gotten there with our painting. But over here on this side, let's imagine that we've got a nice little stem that's going to curve out there. And I'm not going to draw all the little leaves on that one because I'm going to have another stem that's going to come down there, and this one's going to come across. So we've got one on top of the other. So we'll do our little back shape first. And I'm just trying to draw some different shapes. And these can kind of be big and floppy, or we can do another little cross piece there. We can do another bigger, floppier leaf shape, but none of these are exactly the same size or the same shape. Everything's a little bit different.
And I have a couple of color questions. I know we're kind of skipping ahead.
Okay, we can go ahead and start with the color questions.
Okay, what's a good option if they don't have Calypso Sky?
Oh, well, Calypso Sky, I mean, they can use any kind. If they've got ocean view, they could add some white to some Castaway. They could add some aqua to patina. So any kind of turquoisey, pretty blue color is going to work just fine.
Awesome. And then what's the difference between the dioxazine purple and then the violet, the dioxazine violet?
Okay. You mean the violet pansy? There's dioxazine purple and violet pansy. Let me just show you real quick. Here is dioxazine purple, which looks black. And then here is violet pansy, which looks like a purple. So that's the difference. There's a big value difference in those two colors. Okay, so I'm ready to start painting, and so I guess let me know if people seem to be caught up and ready to work as well.
I think we're good to go.
Okay, so let's put out some colors on our palette. Let's put out some Castaway. If you don't have Castaway, you could use turquoise or you could use aqua. I'm going to put out a little bit of pure black. That might be enough to get me by for right now. And I am going to put out some Calypso Sky. Just getting ready to paint away. And I'm going to put out some patina. So you could see we've got a kind of an aqua turquoise color, a pretty tropical blue color, and then a little bit greener cast color there. All right, so I'm going to grab a number 10 filbert brush. And a filbert brush is basically a flat brush that has a rounded end on it. So this brush doesn't have any corners, but it does have a nice chisel edge. So I'm going to take some of my Castaway, and I'm going to start with this little spiky bit of foliage, and I'm going to stand my brush on the chisel edge, and that means the handle's pointed straight up at the ceiling, so I know you can't see what I'm doing just yet, but I'm going to paint the stem of my plant just right like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm going to do all 3 little stems to start off with. So a light pressure Gives you a nice thin stem. And this is just where we're getting started. Okay, so I have all 3 of my stems in, and now I'm going to take my brush with my castaway, and I'm going to pick up a little Calypso Sky. And I'm going to touch a little bit of black because I want to tone this down so it's not quite as bright. And I'm going to start, it doesn't matter where I start. I'm going to start at the top of one of these 3 little spiky shoots of foliage, and I'm going to touch down, I'm going to press, and I'm going to pull, and I just make an oval shaped stroke. And that's all I'm going to do right now with that one. So again, my castaway, some Calypso Sky, and a little teeny bit of black, just so this isn't too light and bright just yet. And I'm going to start painting these little propeller bits of foliage, and they are just stroked on like that, just like Caitlin said, just little simple strokes of color. All right, and now I've got my little flat ones, so I'm going to just make those skinny. And we're going to move down. We're going to do another one of those little skinny ones. And if I want to, I can just throw an extra one in there. That wasn't something I drew on there, but I thought it needed it, so there we go. All right, again, Castaway, Black, and Calypso Sky. And we're going to do a big petal and then just lift back up so it looks like that. Not following the chalk drawing, but just using the chalk drawing as a placeholder for what we're doing. And if you need a really big one, I can do 2 strokes there, so I get a really wide petal. And if you are super fast, you can get going and do a lot of these things. I'm going to try to work at a moderate pace, so I'm not losing everybody. But these are just, we're stroking these on right now. And we are going to do a little bit more to them, but this is just getting them kind of based in or establishing the little petal shapes or leaf shapes or whatever these things are. Sometimes I paint something like this and I'm not a botanist, I'm not a gardener, I do not have green thumbs. I can kill a house plant just by bringing it across the threshold. They don't last long. And after I moved into my new house, someone said, "Oh, I should bring you some house plants." I'm like, "Please don't. Please,
I get it.
Please bring, a bottle of gin. That will be much more appreciated than a dead house plant." Just can't keep them going. All right, so that's one little stalk of these kind of background floral pieces. So let's move on and do another one, and I'm going to do this one at what I would consider my normal painting speed. The goal for these is to make sure that they are not all the same size, they're not all the same shape. You want them to be quite different and varied as you are doing these. And you just want to put them on in a pleasing manner. Because as you all know, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. And that's what we are hoping to have by the time we finished up with our painting tonight. Have you got a question?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So Kristen says, I was recently watching another artist on Facebook and she kept referring to what I looked or to what looked like a flat brush as a bright brush? What's the difference? Is there one?
Yes, there is a difference between a bright and a flat. And not to go on a big tear about that, but let me just grab a big flat brush here to show you. A bright brush will have bristles that are shorter than a flat brush. So a bright might be that much shorter, as much as, you know, 1/4 of an inch shorter. So a bright is shorter than a flat.
Okay.
So that's what's going on there. And for like a filbert brush, sometimes they're called cat's tongue brushes. I've got all different kinds of names. But they make a filbert brush that is exceptionally long, and that is called an Egbert. So, I mean, if there's a shape, somebody's got a brush shaped that way and they got a name to it. So all different kinds of sizes and shapes of brushes. All right, let's move over here to this last little piece. We're going to start with the top. And again, Castaway, Calypso Sky, maybe a little bit of black. And if I were the kind of artist that could simply just put something on their canvas and leave it alone, we would be like 90% done with these, but that is not the case. So we are going to have to play with these a little bit more. But you could see once you kind of get the idea that you're putting these on and it's just a little brush stroke work, we're not inventing the wheel here. All right, so we've got this all done for now. Or we've got our, I should say we've done our first step on those. So let's wipe our brush off a little bit, and we're going to pick up some Calypso Sky and just work that into the bristles of our brush. There's still some of this color in there, so let's not worry about that because we've just changed to Calypso Sky. And so watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to start up here on this top little petal or leaf shape, and I'm going to just give it a quick little highlight stroke, just like that. And I'm going to do that not all over all of these, but I am just going to add a little bit of light to the outside edge of these strokes here and there. And I'm going to bring this up close to the camera so you can see what I'm kind of doing. I'm just stroking some light color on at the outside edge of these and letting it come back in as it will. If it covers a lot, that's okay. If it covers less, that's okay too.
It's such a small detail, but it does so much.
Well, it does, because we're adding some bits of light to this, and we're not done. I don't know if we've got any gentlemen joining us, but ladies, we're not done.
Oh, Chris is in.
Okay.
She's in the chat. She says, Happy New Year to everyone.
So we're just stroking on some of our Calypso Sky, just creating some light areas on these. I'm going to not, this one over here, kind of in the center of the canvas or to the right of these three, it's not going to get that much. It's going to get a little bit at the top. And just a couple of little strokes out here. And that's all I'm going to do with that one right now. But in the middle, we're going to continue on with some of our Calypso Sky, making sure that we have some variation in the amount of this lighter color that's going on these strokes. They should not all be the same. All right, so you could see how we've lightened those, given them a little bit of highlight. Let's wipe our brush off. And let's pick up some patina. This is a lighter color. If you are not sure that you want so much of that greenish cast, you can tone that down with a little Calypso Sky. As Bob Ross would have told you, These are your little flower forms. You can make them however you want. It's your world and you're in control of it. All right, so I'm going to do a little controlling of my own and lighten some of that. I'm going to highlight that little stem and then come back and just flick a little bit of highlight on. And I'm not doing this on every little stroke, just here and there, brightening some of this up. And I'm going to bring this up so that you can see a little bit closer what I've done. All right, so you can see how that patina really does make some of those little strokes pop quite a bit. All right, that's plenty. All right, so these are now not highlighted all the same. This one has very little highlighting. This has got some, but this one has the most on there. All right, so I'm going to give you exactly a minute to bring this to completion. And I am watching my clock.
And while we wait, I'm going to mute you really quick, and then we might just move the mic a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, it's muted. Maybe move it to the other side, because I think you move your head less that direction.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit higher to the right. You're right. Yeah.
Cool. Is that better?
And then twist the mic so it's facing your mouth. It looks like it's like in your jacket right now.
Well, I can't.
Yeah, let me
I
get
can't
it.
see. Sorry about that. I mean, you could come arrange it however. It's like someone tying your tie. Okay.
Hopefully that works.
I hope so. Are people complaining?
No, but I heard it
Okay.
a lot.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Caitlin.
We'll test it.
Okay.
Okay, talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Caitlin has adjusted my microphone, and so hopefully we'll have good luck. But let's come over here and quickly do the back stalk that we have over here. So I'm going to take the Castaway and the Calypso Sky and a little bit of black, just exactly what we did over here. I'm now going to do on the stalk that is to the back. All right, so I'm going to start and just draw in my stem. And then I'm going to stroke in those petals. And I'm going to do this at my normal painting speed, because you all have seen me do this and you know exactly what I'm going to do and what I'm going to say. But let's start at the top with that little oval stroke up at the top. And then we will start moving down our stalk. Just touch, press, and lift to form each one of these little leaf-like shapes. And because you know what you're doing, you can do this rather quickly. And I think this is a fun way to start our new painting year with something your teacher doesn't even know what it is that we're painting. But it doesn't matter what it is. It's got color and it's got shape, and that's all we're really concerned about. And I love it when I go to my neighborhood florist and they're like, well, what would you like? And you say something about, you know, maybe some roses. And they're like, well, would you like some blah, 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 blah? And it's like, what is that? And they pull out some super exotic looking flower from the cooler. And I'm like, yes, I'll take those. And then when you walk out the door, I don't even remember what they were, but they've always got some really interesting flowers. Okay, we're moving quickly here. All right, so we've got our darker color on there, and I'm not going to highlight any of these, but what I am going to do is wipe my brush, and I have some violet pansy out here on my palette. So I'm going to pick up some violet pansy, and down here, just for fun, I'm going to stroke a little bit of violet pansy on. All right, so that's quite a bit of purple on there. And I'm going to soften that purple back just by picking up some Calypso Sky. And I just wipe the purple off my brush and clean it out. So we've got purple in our brush now. And we're just going to kind of stroke back over. And so now we've got some purple and some Calypso Sky going on down there. All right, I'm going to give you a minute to do that because I know some of you've got to find a suitable purple color and get that out on your palette. And you might as well get out some dioxazine purple because we're going to be using some of that in just a moment. And I would go ahead and get out some lavender too. Everybody doing so far so good, Caitlin?
Yeah, it seems like it.
Okay. I hope everybody's having fun with this because this is lighthearted painting. It's not hard at all. If you just have to let go and just go with it.
Yes.
You can't fight it the whole way. Heaven knows I've tried that direction at times in my painting career, and it never works out well. All right, I'm going to grab a number 12 flat brush, and I'm going to pick up some dioxazine purple, and we're going to paint these two purple spiky flower forms. So I'm starting right next to my big white cone-shaped flower, and I'm going to brush on some of the dioxazine purple at the bottom of my cone-shaped little flower here, my spiky flower, and I'm going to just brush that dioxazine purple from the bottom of my little cone shape right up to the tip. And then I'm going to go back to my number 10 filbert, and I'm going to pick up some violet pansy, and I'll show you here on my palette what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the edge of the brush, I'm going to use the flat of the brush, and I'm going to create little dabs of violet pansy. So that's what this is going to look like. It's dabs of violet pansy. We're not trying to create necessarily a petal shape. We are creating some dabs of color, and this is going to look pretty cool when it goes on your black canvas and you start to see that really dramatic purple color. And we move across our flower form as we move up to the tip of our flower. Okay, so that's kind of what it looks like. Not anything to write home about at this point. But we're going to wipe our brush off and we're going to load it with some lavender. And I'm going to start up here at the tip and I'm going to add some little dabs of this color. And as I move down, the little strokes can get a little bit bigger. And you can see how they're just dabbed on there. I'm not completely covering the dioxazine purple or the violet pansy that I put on, but we are just dabbing some of these beautiful, fun purple shapes on there. And I'm going to let it fade out as it comes down here. I'm not adding any more petals in that area. So you can see just exactly what I've got on my painting. And I'll give you a minute to catch up because I know I did that pretty fast. And Caitlin's reminding me that it's just some little strokes on there and it shouldn't take that long.
This painting feels very therapeutic.
It is.
Yeah.
For some people. Other people, it will be almost traumatic for them because you can't play and blend and mess around with this. A lot of people look at a painting that's kind of done in a very painterly fashion with very loose, bold stroke work, and they think that's super simple. Mm-hmm. And they'll look at a painting that's very rendered and super realistic, and they'll say, oh, that's so much harder. And I'm like, no, because you can get in there and play around with that heavily blended thing forever till you get it right. Your bold stroke work, you load your brush, you put it on, you leave it alone. It's got to be that one stroke that you are comfortable with.
Yeah.
So it's, all different paintings have all different sorts of easy and difficult aspects to them. But we have another one of these to paint. So we're going to paint the one right to its left, its little neighbor. So once again, dioxazine purple, and we're stroking that on next to what's going to be our white flower, and we are brushing this dioxazine purple right up the middle and just tapping and dabbing that on as it comes up. And that's what our dioxazine purple looks like. You can see it shiny there where it's wet. All right, let's pick up our violet pansy on our number 10 filbert brush, and let's start at the top and we'll work back down just by adding these little dabs. And some of these should pick up some of that dioxazine purple and just kind of blend it in as it goes. And you don't want to play around in this too much. You want to get it on and move on. And down here at the bottom, I'm putting fewer strokes on and leaving more of the dioxazine purple showing. All right, so that's what I've got on there so far. And now we're going to wipe our brush off and we're going to pick up some lavender. And once again, we're going to start at the top of our little spiky flower form, and we are stroking on some of these wonderful little lighter purple petals or petal forms. And I think these little spiky flowers are so pretty. Okay, now what I'm going to do is pick up I'm going to pick up my bottle of titanium white and put some of that out on my palette. And now I'm going to pick up some Calypso Sky, and I've got some of that light lavender still in my brush. And I'm going to add a little titanium white to that. So I've lightened up my blue-purple color here. And I'm going to add some of these lighter little petally shapes onto both of my little spiky flowers. All right, so there's some on the one in the back. And we're going to do the same thing to the one in the front. And it's kind of hard to tell that there's one in the front until you put some of this lighter color right next to it. So you can see now this one is in front of that one. And again, we're not completely filling this in. And I can pick up some castaway if I want to, and just add some of that in down here, and maybe scatter a few little castaway petals over there. And that's just helping to tie the blue from our big flower stems in the back into our purple flower. And if I don't set my brush down, I'm going to play in it and mess it up. So we're leaving that alone, and I'm going to give you a minute to bring yours to that point. Anybody got any questions, Caitlin?
Nope.
Okay. I'm thinking that's a good thing. I'm taking it as a good sign that we don't have a lot of questions. We don't have too much left to do. So does it look like people are still working, or are they just kind of waiting to move on?
There's quite a few amount of people that are just going to be watching it later.
Okay.
Yeah. They chimed in a little bit late.
Okay, listen, I get it. You know, I would have liked to have done this a little bit later too, but then it gets close to bedtime and I can't do that late.
Yeah.
All right, let's start our big white flower, which I want to show you is absolutely not white. So we've got grayish brown in the background, and we've got some pretty pink going on in there. So it's not just white. It's hard to paint white things white. People always think, oh, if you're going to paint a white flower, then you just paint it white, and that's not going to get you where you want to be. All right, so I'm going to make a little mixture of a grayish brown color with a little bit of titanium white and some black, some pure black, and a little bit of asphaltum. So that's going to make a nice soft brownish gray color. And I'm using my number 8 filbert brush. And what I'm going to do is begin, see, that's pretty white. It's too light for what I need. So I'm going to add just a little tiny bit of pure black to that to darken that color a little bit more. And there I've got a color that's not too white. So I'm going to start down here at the bottom, and I'm stroking on some flower petal shapes. Trying to avoid using the terms flower petals. They're not really flower petals. These are just bits of color that are in the shape of a flower petal. I know that's splitting hairs there, but so that's how we do. All right, and I'm going to bring some of these are going to stay inside that little dotted shape that we made, and some of these are going to go outside. Now I'm basically just kind of picking up some paint and then kind of cleaning my brush off as I'm adding these little shapes to this flower form. And some of these are going over these little aqua leaf shapes that we have in the background here. And some are going over this purple spiky flower on the left-hand side. And just keep mixing this little pile of paint right out here on the palette, keeping it kind of a soft gray-brown color. Okay, that's the start of our white flower. So I'm going to wipe my brush, and now I'm going to pick up white, and my white is going to be much lighter because I wiped out most of that color, and it's just going to now be a slightly dirty off-white color. And we're going to be a little bit neater as we put some of these little petal strokes on. Taking a little bit more care to make sure that these look a little bit more like flower petals. But our goal is not to paint individual little flowers on here. These are always going to be just strokes that indicate that this is a multi-petaled flower. And if you are the kind of painter who feels like you absolutely have to form individual little flower shapes on here, doing this kind of painting is near torture for you, and I apologize. You just have to get the little strokes on there, and the viewer will fill in the rest. It's like when someone asks you a question, sometimes all you need to do is answer the question. Somebody asks you what time it is, you can tell them the time. You do not have to give them a lesson on clockmaking. Watch a lot of police procedural shows, and you can hear an attorney getting a person ready to go on the witness stand, and they'll say, "Do you know what time it is?" The correct answer is either yes or no. It's not the actual time, because they ask if you knew what time it was, and either you know or you don't know what time it is. They didn't ask you what time it was. So you have to let your viewer fill in the details of what you're painting.
Yeah.
You don't have to do all the work for them. I took a class, and the instructor was showing some examples of that very thing about how you don't have to, give everyone the answers. And somebody in the class was a kind of a seaside beach situation, and this person says, "What's that red thing there?" And she goes, "I'm assuming it's something on the beach." And the person says, "Well, what is it?" And she goes, "It's something red on the beach. Is it a child's pail? Is it a ball? Is it a Coke can? It's something red on the beach. I just put a dab of red there, and my viewers can figure that out." And this gal was just not willing to take something red on the beach as an answer. And the more she just wanted to know the answer, I'm like, "Ooh, I bet you are horrible at reading a mystery novel." You got to just kind of go with it for a little bit. All right, so that's where I'm stopping on this flower for right now. Why am I stopping right now? It's because I need to wipe my brush out, and I need to put some pink melon on my palette. And pink melon is an absolutely beautiful color that's not too orange, not too peach. It is a very nice kind of watermelon color. All right, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of pink melon, and I'm trying not to sneeze right now, but that will come and it will frighten everyone when it happens. All right, so I'm going to add a few pink melon strokes over here, and I don't have that much paint in my brush. So you can see they're not solid pink dabs. You can see through them, because the paint's just kind of skimming on the surface. And I love that, like that little petal that's sticking out there by itself. That kind of thing, when it happens, is always a fun and pleasant surprise. All right, so now I'm going to pick up a little bit of titanium white in with my pink melon, making a lighter pink color. I might take a little bit of that extra paint off my brush because I don't need these to be too light and bright, but I do want to put a few little lighter pink petals on, and I can scatter them a little bit further to the left and a little bit further up. So I've got brighter, deeper pink tones down here and some lighter pinks in through there. Now you say, Andy, why don't you have any pink anywhere else? And I'm like, well, I didn't over there, but on tonight's painting I can pick up some pink melon, and if I want to, I can find a little place and I can tuck a little pink melon on a couple of these little leaves. And I can do some over here just to add a little interest. So you can see you've got some of those little pink melon. If you don't like that, once you put it on, pick up some patina and you can just come right back over any of that and soften some of that back. You can play around with it. It's your painting. You can do what you want to with it. I'm here to guide you as best I can, offer you best practices, give you some tips and hints to make your painting better. And that's what I'm here to do. All right, so I'm going to pick up some more titanium white. And it's not really turning that pink, which is good, because I'm going to come back and add some more white over the top of my flower. And I'm going to wipe it out and pick up a little more titanium white. And this should be pretty white as I'm adding these little dabs on. And here's where I can make sure that the outside edge of this flower has a very interesting shape. And you can see that coming down this edge, it's not like one very smooth, even shape to it. It's got some little petals that really stick out and some that don't stick out at all. And that's how you get a really cool looking flower form. And we'll put a few more little petals that are just peeking out over the edge here and there. Okay, so you can see how we've got a nice kind of dimensioned to our flowers. There's some darker areas over here and this pink there, but the white is really through the center of that flower. And we don't need to do anything else to that. But we still have one more stem that's going to come over the top of our flower. And you can see that right here where we are coming over the top of that. So we're trying to create some dimension and some layers to our painting. So let's do the same thing we've done before. And we're going to take some Castaway, some Calypso Sky, and I don't think we need anything to darken this down this time. So let's use the chisel edge of our filbert brush and put our stem on. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick up a little patina with that, make that stem a little lighter and brighter. Okay, it is time to just do a little freewheeling here and start with our little oval at the top. And if you know, I don't think you need to really sketch on another round of these petals because you've done 1, 2, 3, 4 of these already. So this is number 5 for you. So I'm going to trust that you all can put these on without having to sketch a design on. But if you do feel more comfortable, by all means grab your chalk and sketch away. So remember that these little petals should not be the same size, should not be the same shape, and really should not be the same distance apart. And if you've painted with me before, you've probably heard that exact expression 200 or 300 times. And I'm hoping that by now somebody has needle pointed that on a pillow, because you've had plenty of time. And we're just continuing to stroke these little leaf shapes on. And see how that one went just right over the top of this white flower. Looks great there. Not the same size, not the same shape, and not the same distance apart, everybody. Okay, I think that's enough of that on there, and let's wipe our brush and grab some patina and highlight that a little bit more. I just love this patina color next to the black. It is such a great contrasting color.
Yeah, that is really pretty.
And I think Caitlin was right that this wasn't going to be a difficult painting for you, because it is just some dabs of strokes on there. And we're going to have Caitlin painting along with us very shortly.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're going to paint. Stephen White, who also works here at Plaid doing our video work and editing, was not a painter, and he's now painted with me several times on Art Talk, and the kind of the reluctant sunflower painter, but we have fun. All right, so I think that's just about enough of those highlights. You can see how it does come right over the top of that pink flower there. And I want to let you know that your chalk lines, this is all dry up here, so once you've drawn something with chalk, you can either just take a chalk towel or a paper towel or something and wipe your chalk design off, and I think that makes it look much nicer. I would do it over here, but this is still a little bit wet. But that is all that there is to your winter floral. And I will say, if you decide to varnish yours with a gloss varnish, like you can see that's very glossy varnish on there, it really is going to make those colors come alive and really kind of sing on your canvas. So do give it a good coat of a varnish, and that will bring your colors up and make your winter floral look a lot better. So do we have any last minute questions?
Nope.
Okay. Well, this has been your winter floral for your first night class, your first Paint with Plaid class of 2024. And we look forward to having you join us for our next